Alrighty, folks, welcome back to Adobe Live. Thank you all so much for hanging around after Kyle's wonderful stream and putting up with the couple minutes of technical difficulties there. I appreciate it. Welcome back to another episode of the Design Off. I'm going to kind of jump into what the Design Off is for any of you folks who are brand new in the chat. But first, I'm going to introduce myself and I'm going to tell you folks, kind of give you an intro and pass things over to my pal here. As you can see, I am not alone on the stream today. So my name is Voodoo Val. I'm the host and kind of co-artist for these design segments every other week. I do a lot of like character creature design. I really like to do like dark fantasy portraits. Yes, that may or may not be a Beat Saber background behind me. Sam Peterson, welcome in. It's good to see you. I'm joined here by Jessica or Annie Real online. How are you today, Jessica?
I'm doing pretty good. I had my cup of coffee and I'm ready to start drawing.
Nice, nice. I'm super pumped just for this because we are doing like a creatures and characters kind of theme today, and I think we're both kind of vibing on like an interesting hybrid of the two of those, which I think is going to be fun. But just in case there's anyone who's like unfamiliar with you and your work and the kind of stuff you usually create, why don't you let everyone know in the chat kind of where they can find your work, and if you'd like to, you can say some words about your work of choice, I suppose, what you like to do.
Yeah. So you can find most of my work through my Twitter page, which is Anireal, Anireal. It's got my Patreon on there and my store. That's got all my like prints and leftover like convention stuff that I couldn't sell this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a co-founder of our creative studio, Lonely Egg Studio, and you can
Nice,
find the
nice.
link to that on my Twitter too. Uh, yeah, I like to do horror fantasy artwork, a lot of like Lovecraft influences.
All my favorite
Um,
things.
oh yeah, things that are
All
a
my
little
favorite
dark
stuff.
and a little beautiful, all thrown in there.
Yeah, it's like horrifying, but you're also like, wow, that's pretty. Please don't come any closer, but wow, that's pretty.
That's a pretty good description of what everybody says when they see my work.
Yeah, I actually I don't know. No, you know this. I've got a few of your prints. I've actually got them up in my office in my design space. Of some beautiful, wonderful things that I don't want to come any closer to me. Basically, is what I think of them. I'm just like, wow, this is really cool. I don't ever want to meet it, but I like it a lot. Um, but yeah, thank you. There's the Lonely Egg Studio link and the Twitter link in the chat from Sam Peterson. Thank you so much. And I also want to greet everybody that's jumping into the chat. We've got some of our regulars, Jan Eric and Paul Weaver, Steve Festus Casaboom, Jessica Tam. It's so good to see all of you folks. I see RB, Kyle Mack, Golden Rose. I hope you folks will participate with us. As always, for the Design Off, you guys are definitely welcome to create anything with us according to our theme, or just share on social media with the hashtag Adobe Live Design Off what you're working on while you were watching the stream, while you've got it up in the background, or however it is that you like to watch these broadcasts. Because we want to see basically what you guys create, how you folks interpret the creatures and characters theme. I want to see what you folks make, and I'm going to jump over here to our dual stream kind of screen over here so that we can just kind of jump into it. It looks like you've got your sketch up, and I don't have have a sketch up pulled up right now, but I've done like a few sketches of kind of what I intend for today, and I'm pretty stoked about it. So I'm just going to dive in here, and feel free to jump in and get started.
Yeah.
Alright.
So today's like more of a hybrid human.
Yeah,
And
definitely. I mean, creatures and characters, I was like, yeah, I've got a lot of stuff I can do for creatures and characters. I think me and you kind of vibe on like the same kind of stuff we like to do as well. But then I was like, well, do I do like a scary portrait, or do I design like an actual like quadruped monster of some kind, or Like, what do I create? I'm not sure. And then I was like, oh, I could just do both. I could just do a monster man, because that would be cool. So that's the thought process for that. What about you? Is this going to be something like from an existing IP of yours, or from someplace else, or is this like a purely just kind of original, just riff on the topic?
Sort of. I had a drawing that I did, I think last Halloween
Mm-hmm.
for like an October challenge, and it was like an owl creature with like teeth that ran along its like neck underneath its feathers, and it
Mm-hmm.
kind of like could open up its entire head.
Oh,
So
that's so cool.
so I'm
Yes.
kind of riffing off of that idea of like this owl that's not really an owl.
That's like
And
very,
yeah.
what is it? Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. It's
Yeah.
not. I think that's what it was. It's not an owl. It's not an owl. And everyone was like terrified of the owl that they could see through the window. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm living for it right now. I love it.
I love that like idea of like the owl that's like turned away from you and it like turns its head 180 and looks at you and it, like you expect owl face but it's not owl face. It's like
Yeah, that's the vibe that like Magic the Gathering Sphinx characters give me, where I'm like, "Oh, that's a lion," and it turns around, I'm like, "Or a woman gator, maybe?" I don't know what you are, but you're cool. Just again, the same theme of like, don't come any closer, but you're pretty cool to look at. I'm wondering too, do you like put together a mood board or anything like when you get started with your work, or do you have like, for instance, I pull up Pinterest. Like Pinterest is my jam. That's my go-to. It's
yep.
everything that I do. I have to have like a Pinterest board up so I don't lose sight of like what I'm going for.
Yeah, I use Pinterest and I use PRF to collage all the pictures that I want to use for my board on my other screen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, our group actually has like a thing where if somebody says they're gonna go look up references on Pinterest, we're like, okay, you can spend 15 minutes doing that, but you gotta come back. We can't lose you to Pinterest.
Yeah, oh man, so I have the Pinterest extension for Chrome too, which I highly recommend, because I like, even when I'm not supposed to be on Pinterest, which, as you say, I think that a lot of artists find themselves on Pinterest when they're not supposed to be.
Hmm.
Um I I really have like kind of an addiction to, like, I'll see like a really cool painting somewhere. I'm like, "Ooh, that's going to my Pinterest board," and I can just hover over it and just add it. And then when I'm supposed to be sleeping, I'm usually on the Pinterest app on my phone, like sorting brand new uh boards and things. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna come back to this. I sometimes never come back to it, but I feel like I might, so I will like put an inordinate amount of time into like cultivating um some cool boards for later, that I can also waste my time in when I'm supposed to
Yeah,
be
I've
drawing.
always been fascinated by people who have like I've seen people's like desktops and they'll have like a resource folder that they've manually like organized and they just have like hundreds of folders and it's just all these resources that they've gathered over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually have like a large database like on my main hard drive that's just called resources. And what I do is like anytime I buy something online or license an image, or find some cool brushes, or just like anything that I can get my hands on, like resource wise, like when it comes to textures and things that I can use, I like totally sort it into this gigantic file, and then I have, it's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things that it's like organized by category, that I can like kind of piece through, so I always have a
Mhm.
starting place basically. Let me pull up this one last piece of reference so I can have up what I need. I've got my Pinterest board up here, and then I'm gonna start doing, I think I'm gonna do like a like kind of like a Wild West like cowboy vibe, but the character is gonna have like enough of his chest like kind of showing that you can see like the muscles um, are arranged in a way that's definitely not human.
I love that. I love the uncanny kind of valley sort of thing where from a distance something looks like something, you look closer and there's, there's something definitely wrong with it.
Yeah, and you're like, that's like slightly familiar, and then you realize like like I don't want this. I don't like I think that's kind of how honestly like a lot of some of my favorite pieces from your portfolio are where it's like I'm looking. I think one of the ones that did it for me was I have the print of like the gigantic mermaid that's like laying on the beach,
Oh, right, right,
and
yeah.
it's super cool, but then I look closer and I realized that some of the what I thought was just like a scattery texture brush is actually like a flock of birds that's like passing her knee, and I'm like, "Oh, she's enormous. She's like really really big," and that's horrifying to me. And I don't know what to make of make of
There's a
this.
there's a fear for that. I forget what it's called. It's like megalophobia or something like that, where you're like afraid of monstrously large like things.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. I get it. I didn't know that that was something I was afraid of until I saw that, and I was like, "Oh, that would like mermaids are great, but like if they were just a little bit bigger, they would not be cool at all. They would be like zero chill for mermaids. I don't think that would be a cute, cool thing people liked at all. Um, but I think too you have a really interesting way of like doing these basically what you're doing now too is like a collection of like really interesting human parts with animal parts too that kind of gives you that vibe that's like okay, this is something that I like sort of am familiar with, but there's something not quite right about it. And then I think you kind of just like leave it up to your viewer to interpret it like rather that is a cool thing or not.
Mhm.
Are you
Yeah.
scared of it or do you think it's cute? Which is it
I
gonna be?
there's definitely like story that's built up, I think, in my pieces, the ones that I get to work longer on. Like they'll start out one way and then as I'm developing it, I'm like, wow, but wouldn't it be really cool if, they were like worshiping this or like had all of these like tentacles coming out and like
Mm-hmm.
enveloping this and like then the story starts to like build out more and that's where you get like those little hidden moments
Yeah,
where you were like talking about the birds and things like that, like those little things that I didn't originally intend for them to be in there.
just kind
um
of happens.
mhm.
Cool. Yeah. I think too, probably like once you get really comfortable with the kind of subject matter that you really like to go for, I would imagine that like getting to a certain point in your work where you feel comfortable exploring those hidden moments gets a lot easier over time. Um,
Yeah.
I wonder, so how long have you been doing like terrifying things? You know, like how long is it just like always kind of been your jam, or do you have experience doing like other genres of work as well?
I think that's always been the thing that's called out to me. I saw like Alien, like for the first time when I
Mm-hmm.
was like a lot younger, and I think that's when like I noticed like I really like the sense of like the unknown. It feels like it's something that I need to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't have all these answers and whatever, but I really liked how it made me feel and like what it made me question. So I really like terrifying stuff because it
Yeah.
gets yeah, it gets me the adrenaline going and like um thinking on like a deeper level.
Yeah.
And I do like drawing other things. Like, I recently did some like fan art for the Mandalorian. I drew,
Yes.
the baby,
The
um,
babe, the wee boy.
the wee boy, and that was like in a totally different style than I normally do. A lot more happy and like whimsical.
Yeah, I've been
Um,
doing that with Animal Crossing lately because like I'm like blood and gore and guts and like really fancy but absolutely dangerous elf boys and like stuff like that, and then I'm just like, but I would like to paint some Animal Crossing villagers today, so that's where we're going with this. And then they're like super bright happy colors and like cute like
yep.
chibi things, and everything's wonderful and sparkly, and then people are like, all right, I'm down. I don't know why you're doing this, but I'm down. It's very different. um, And speaking of the wee babe from the Mandalorian, by the way, I feel compelled to let anyone know because I know that this has been a hard year for a lot of people. It's been a very interesting year. If anyone is looking for a source of just like positivity and feel good, just check out Twitter and see how many people all over the world are topping their Christmas trees with various forms of Baby Yoda. It's amazing. There's like a bunch of different kinds of Baby Yodas that are just like, I mean, Baby Yoda in general is great, but like the idea of him like being at the top of a gigantic pine tree and like looking down on all of us with his hands outstretched is just a good visual. And you guys should check it out. It's pretty cool.
We were joking about bringing up Star Wars during this stream, but yes, I've been enjoying The Mandalorian a lot.
I'm gonna say in quotes, joking about bringing it up because I had every intention. I had every intention to do this today, and I am sure no one's surprised. But she was like, I've been like watching The Mandalorian. I've been doing some fan art, so I'll try not to bring it up. And I was thinking, but if she brings it up, then I don't have to
It's
bring it
so
up.
wholesome. I love learning about the technology that they use to put together the episodes.
Oh
Like the
yeah.
giant like 360 screen thing that they have,
Mm-hmm.
that they film in front of, and like the animatronics for the Baby Yoda, and like just I don't know. It's just so wholesome to learn about it. And it's been a segue for me to learn more about Star Wars too, because I always felt overwhelmed with how much material there is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
um
I get it.
and this has been like a easy to consume way to like get introduced to all these other things in the lore, so I've been really appreciating it.
I think that the where Star Wars is concerned, there has always been like a really, really incredible team of practical effects artists um,
Mm-hmm.
that are just like mind blowing. And I think that like you brought up like the animatronics and stuff. I've watched some videos of just like how things like that are created. Um, and then you kind of like find artists like you might actually be familiar with like Shannon Van Pelt is like kind of a practical effects artist from Twitch. Some of you folks in chat may have heard of her as like watching how she like puts together like these monsters and then you see like the videos of how these realistic animatronic heads are like created for film and what goes into um, not only making them look good but making them work. You
Yeah.
know, it's very inspiring. Oh, doggo! Thank you. They were. You know what? Someone in chat was just asking, can I please see the doggo? The doggo has been seen. Oh, poor baby. It's all good. It's all good. We just get like I'm sure people were wondering what the full dog looked like because we could only see the cute little ears, and now we've been able to see full doggo.
I saved all your guys' ears from full on.
It's all good. It's all good.
she's
Um,
a great guard dog, I'll give her that.
I have two dogs that are like her same size, and they're exactly the same way. I'm surprised we haven't heard them yet, to be honest. Sound the alarm, yeah, Panda. Elevation, it's good to see you. Photoshop. Oh, so Richard Lindy, if you're having problems printing Photoshop files, like if you go to print and you find that things don't look exactly like how you intended them, check to see if you have your file in CMYK because that is best for print. Um,
Hmm.
and if you find that you still are not really getting the uh, the end product that you're looking for, I would say what I did was when I first started printing stuff like for conventions and things, I was very kind of lost because I didn't really know 100% like how I was supposed to do everything and I liked to paint in RBG, but I did not like to like I didn't like what my paintings looked like once I switched over to CMYK, and I didn't want to start my work in CMYK. So what I did was I found a place where I could print, where the printers would actually let me edit it there in Photoshop if I needed to. And there's going to be people in chat who are going to cringe and hate this, but I never print in CMYK anymore. I tried it a few times and I hate it. It never comes out the way that I want, and I know that that's probably like big printing taboo, but I finalize all of my files in RGB, and then I go to my regular printer, and I print it, and if it's too dark or it's not enough this or not enough that, I just edit it in Photoshop right there in the shop and reprint it. That's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times, like prints, if you look at a lot of prints, and the original files, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of artwork that doesn't exactly like match up to the original, and that's like completely acceptable.
Yeah.
Like if your buyer never sees the original like file, the original digital file,
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of like,
Well,
I mean,
is it wrong then? You know, like, is it wrong if nobody knows? Um, yeah, not all printers can handle CMYK colors. It should be Elevation says CMYK should be printed to the coated paper. I don't know. It could also be like where I'm going, but I figure I should say that just because I think that when you do things like in a different way, sometimes people kind of feel like maybe the way that they're doing it means that like they're doing things really wrong and no one else is going to do it that way, and kind of like feel bad about their own process. But I think I have a lot of quirk and things that I do in my own like production process that is not necessarily the way that most people will tell you it's supposed to be done. Um,
mhm,
and I think that it's cool to draw attention to it because I don't think that all of us have the exact same workflow, right? We don't all have the same 100% way of going about certain things. So um, when I do things the wrong way, in quotes, you can't see me, but I have my my little quote fingers up around my face in the air by my head. When I do things the wrong way, I like to tell people that I did it the wrong way sometimes, so that if they do it the wrong way too, they don't feel bad. um, Let me see make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Anyone ever used Photoshop for designing labels for print? If so, I need to have a chat with you. I have used Photoshop to design stickers, which I think is probably kind of the same thing. Um, and I think you've made stickers too, haven't you, Jessica?
yeah, but luckily the sources that I use, they'll do the like placement
Yeah,
onto the sticker sheet, and like the outline, they'll do that for you. So you just have to give them like the artwork pretty much, and they'll do the rest, which is like a lifesaver because I can't, like, I mean I can do it. It's just it's so easy to just upload the artwork and be like done.
yeah, yeah. I go through Sticker Mule for all of my stickers, and I've never been disappointed. And they typically like do, if anything needs to be fixed, they typically do it for me.
Mhm.
But I do go and like I have a file that I found online um, a long time ago. I don't know where I got it, but I'm sure if you folks like looked it up, you could probably find something similar. And it was just like a file that has like standard sizes for stickers and like business cards and things. And it was like a huge artboard full of like templates that you can just snag and line your designs up with it. And it has like a typical bleed that would be good, to leave open for certain projects and all that good stuff. So that I can just like, I know that anytime I make like a business card or anytime I make a sticker, as long as I use those guidelines, nothing gets cut off on the edges and everything looks right once they come out of production. So that's kind of a good thing to have too. I think that as creators, finding like easy ways for us to um, I suppose maybe it's a bad way to put it, but like stay in the lines sometimes, but like ways that we didn't have to generate ourselves,
Hmm.
is cool because I think a lot of people forget that when you're like a freelance artist and you're trying to like make something of yourself, and like find jobs and things, you're not just like the designer, you're the marketing team and the manager and the hovering art director and like all of these things. So like make stuff easy on yourself because you're doing a lot of
Yep,
jobs.
that I can agree with.
Otherwise I went crazy for a while like thinking I had to do everything, and it's like at that
You're
time I
one
wasn't.
person.
Yeah, like I'm just me. I remember I was trying to make stickers for the first time to go to a convention. I'd never tabled at a convention. I'd never made stickers before. And I was trying to um, create my own template for like bleed and stuff myself. Um,
Hmm.
and like from scratch, and I was what's bad about me going and finding someone else's template? And I thought about it and I was like, oh, nothing. Nothing's bad about that. Because I painted the design. The design's mine. I made it. I'm going to table at my own table to showcase my other work and stuff. I just need a little bit of help from somebody who knows what they're doing more than I do. And so let the internet help you out sometimes, and don't worry about doing everything 100% yourself in aspects like that. You need to give yourselves a break sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Golden
We
Rose says, yeah, freelancers are the everything. Yes, indeed.
It is nice having like a group of like artists and friends that I can talk to about this stuff because we're all like trying to figure things out and we all have different experiences doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have trouble with like social media or like where do I get something printed or blah blah blah, more than likely somebody else has had that same problem
Yep.
and can offer some insight.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that we like when you move into freelance work, and maybe like because I'm sure there's some artists in here too that maybe aren't freelance but they have like a studio job or something. Maybe it feels a little more like freelance these days because I know a lot of people are working from home more than ever.
Hmm.
But I think for just creatives in general, very very often we can start to feel like we're the only ones feeling a bad thing in the whole world, and no one else that's ever drawn a picture before has felt as bad as we do. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that all the time. Like, no one's ever felt this pain. It's only me. No, and then I get on the internet and I'm like, oh yeah, we're all like this. Why don't we just come together and like share stuff? Or just like feel more comfortable sharing things and like, doing all that. Because otherwise, we could be learning a lot of stuff from people who've been in our shoes before. Um,
Yeah,
so,
about communication. They do
yep,
it in science with their, you know, sharing of information and stuff. And I
we
don't
should
know
do
why
it
it
with
can't be the
drawing.
same for the arts too.
Yep. I think maybe like at least in my experience, a lot of the people that I've encountered that don't share, and maybe other people have a different idea of this than I do, but a lot of people that don't share, I think, are worried that sharing will in some way like make them lose their place in the race. Um, this race that I'm not even entirely sure exists 100%. I think maybe it's different if you're looking for a studio job and stuff, but the way I see things is like if you have ever had the um idea that you want to create, then it's like you're already meant to do it, you know? If
Yeah.
you, because, there's people that go their entire lives never wanting to draw a picture. So if you have like even the thought like one time or like, yeah, I want to draw, then you're probably supposed to be drawing. Um, and I think the only thing that not sharing with each other does is just prolong the extended like pain of that journey, because it's a great journey, but it can sometimes be painful. Um, and I don't think that not sharing with someone who is eager to learn actually holds your spot in any way. I think it just, because that person's gonna go out in the world and eventually get to where they need to be art wise, because that's what they're meant to do. Like they will eventually like create that thing that they love and get to the point where they're more comfortable with their trade, given the right amount of time and practice and training. And so knowing that, I think that not sharing knowledge and information, it doesn't actually keep other people from surpassing you. They're gonna get there anyway, so you might as well just share and make some friends.
Yeah, having that information is like one step of the process. There's like so much hard work and like what you actually do with that information that matters a lot too.
Yep,
It's yeah.
I
So
agree. Just like I think, maybe some of the, because we were talking about like not making things so hard on yourself, right?
mhm.
I think that some of the apprehension that people feel when it comes to finding help, like finding a template or finding a starting point online too, um, is that if you um, if you use someone else's starting point, how good are you really? And to that, I would say, don't fool yourself. Don't lie to yourself about where you are artistically, and don't allow yourself to like kind of um, lie and not get better at your work because you are too afraid to learn how to do something specific. But I think that when you lean on crutches sometimes and you're being honest with yourself about stuff, I think that it's okay, because once you really learn about your trade and you learn what you're creating and how to create it, and you find your own groove,
Yeah.
there's no denying that you can draw, or that you can sculpt, or that you can design, or that you can create what you're doing. You have your voice, you have your style, you have these things that build up, what people love about your work. And once you get to that point, I don't think it's a problem really to branch out for help in other aspects, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I've never truly really agreed with the sentiment of like pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you like really analyze like your life and everything, like the people who've given you resources or who've, taken care of you or, you know, there's just every step of the way I can remember somebody helping me or offering their help or, being a part of the process or collaborating with me.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's never been like I was just born and just
And I was just really good.
this just had everything.
I
I
was
had I had a
just,
house, I had a, I
yeah.
right out of the get-go, no.
I was just so good at my job right when I was born. You guys didn't stand a chance. Yeah, that's how I feel all the time. Psych. No, I get what you mean though. Like, we gotta we start someplace. We start someplace. And I think, like, spoiler alert, we're all frightened. Like, that's the main, I think that's one of the main eye-opening things of like my entire career is, spoiler alert, all the artists that I really like are also scared sometimes, you know like that was like a big deal when that dawned on me. And it was actually like hanging out here on Adobe Live that really like showed me that I don't have to have like amazing confidence and stuff and like feel like I'm in control of my destiny at all times in order to be a professional.
Mhm.
Because I guarantee you, most of the people that you look up to, most of the people that folks in chat look up to, do not feel like they're the master of any destiny. But that's what I thought I
Yeah.
had to have.
And I guess like our friend group has kind of been like a support group too, because we've all been feeling the like the doubts and like the imposter syndrome and stuff with our own artwork, especially in 2020.
Mhm.
Because like 2020 is just like, man, things are not going very well. Is it me? And obviously, it's like not you.
It's not
2020 has just
yeah.
been terrible for everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I have that feeling too. I'm like, "Oh gosh, this has been like a hard year. Like, what did I do wrong?" And I'm like, it's not me. Calm down. I didn't do this to me."
Yeah. And honestly, like sometimes you take a step back and then you realize how much work you've already done.
Mhm.
Like yeah, I was talking to one of our team members on our inner studio. Her name's Tiffany. She's an animator and she has like started her own fashion line and she like
What?
hand makes all of her own like acrylic jewelry and stuff.
Amazing.
Um and she like we had a talk about like, man, I feel like I haven't been doing enough and I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And I'm looking at her stuff and I'm like, God, I can't do any of this stuff. Like this is amazing. I'm actually wearing one of her, I don't know if you can see it.
Are you? That's so
Yeah,
cool.
it's a little
A little boba. Oh, it's got like
yeah.
the little wedges. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, yeah. So her the title of her fashion brand I think is Dandy Puppetoire. Yeah,
Puppetois.
Puppetoire.
Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute.
Yeah. But like I like pushing people like that, like, and we like talk about it because then they realize, maybe just even a little bit that they're like, wow, what I do is actually kind of amazing and I should,
Yeah, and honestly, anytime I think we as like artists in the community can make another artist feel like, dang, maybe I am cool. That's a one up. That's a plus for all of us collectively. I think,
yeah.
you know, I think that that's good for everybody. Will this be a replay? Yes. It will be available either if you scroll down below the video player and check out the categories that we have of videos here on Behance. It will be there, or it will be available on the YouTube channel. Speaking of YouTubes, if you folks are interested in chatting with us or chatting with anybody on any of the Adobe live streams, you should come over to behance.net/live, because though you can see this stream on the YouTubes, I don't know why I said it in plural like that, but there you go. If you um are over on YouTube, we actually are not looking at that chat. We are looking at the Behance chat. And it's a cool place to be because over here on Behance is where you will get a bunch of helpful links. It's where like anytime we share resources and stuff with the community, this is where you will get them. And you can also check out like the full schedule of what we have planned for the week and all that good stuff here on Behance. Um, let's see. Oh, and it looks like Steve is talking about after this stream we're gonna have some really awesome designers from Australia coming up, which sounds amazing. Um, yeah, that sounds cool. So stick around for that for sure. I have got. I'm also keeping track of time here. I think we probably have like a little over 10 minutes left, which is bizarro land to me, because I feel like we just started streaming. Um, but I am gonna let everybody in the chat know that if you have any last minute questions for either of us, please ask them now. Now is the time to do that, so we have ample time to kind of see what's thrown in chat and give you guys any feedback or answer any questions you have.
Hmm.
Okay, I think mine is finally starting to look the way that I want it, and I'm actually really pleased with it. Like I think it definitely needs a lot of work,
This is
but
like torture because I can't see at all what you're doing.
I
I'm like,
know. I've
ugh.
got this guy, and he's got like this cloak on him, and he's got like this big old like 10-gallon hat, and his cloak is like pulled open and kind of blowing in the wind behind him, and it reveals like his chest that just has like a lot of weird muscles in places muscles should not necessarily be. And then I was thinking about like under his arms in the gloom, like between his body and the cloak, have like a bunch of other like littler baby arms like coming out like just for no reason. Like this guy just has like a it could even be an odd number of arms. Like he's got 47 arms, It's just two of them are bigger than all the other ones, and he doesn't keep them as concealed by the cloak. Um, I also like to imagine that he's a nice guy. It's just the arms throw some people off. You know, like he's just he hangs out. He just kind of like you
Just
know
want somebody to give him a hand, you
get
know?
just give him a hand. Yeah, it's I said arms, but like maybe he does have hands though. He doesn't need extra hands. What do you both not like about drawing? That's a good question. Uh,
I don't like the last half hour where I'm just
yeah.
sitting there polishing,
Where you have to
noodling.
finish it and you're just like all the magic is gone because you're like, oh, I could do this and do this, but then like that's over. And
Yeah,
you're
it
like,
gets
yeah.
into a little bit of the territory of like graphic design for me, where
Mm-hmm.
like you've done the design, the sketch, the majority of the work. Now you got to go in and go to like the pixel level and like really refine things up.
Yeah.
I am not a pixel person.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not either. I also like am very much not like a line art person like a lot of people are, and I feel the same way about that. Anytime I have to do something very specific and it calls for me doing like particular line art to like lay out what I'm doing, I'm just like, I could do without most of this. I hate this. I don't like this is gonna sound lame. This is gonna sound lame, but I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I really don't like people telling me what to do. Like I'm doing a job and I have an idea and then I like start doing something and then like the client is like, okay, I like it, but I want you to change everything you just added. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna change everything I just added, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I did it way better. My idea's better. I do it.
Well,
I make the
no,
change, but
actually, okay. I rephrase what I said about the worst thing I like hate about art. The worst thing is I hate backhanded comments that you get in art.
yeah, yeah. It's really great, but like, why didn't you make it blue? And I'm like, gee, it never occurred to me that you would only like it if it was blue, so I just chose the color I liked. I'm sorry. Sometimes they're hard to stomach. I think also someone has a specific question for you. I want to make sure I'm not running out of time here. But question
Yeah,
for Jessica from Sam Peterson: where do your ideas and inspiration for images come from? How much thought goes into them beforehand? That's a good question because yours are pretty like
it
fabulous.
yeah, it sometimes depends. The stuff that I have to do faster, I just find like things that really call out to me, either when I take photography or stuff that I see online or things that my friends have recommended to me.
Mhm.
Longer images, like the big paintings, like the mermaid one
Mhm.
and like this big red wolf one that I did. Um,
Yes, that's the
those
one
ones I
with
like
the
start,
hunch
yeah, I
kind of.
start out with a
Oh.
very like abstract idea and then like the story kind of develops as I go. And those ones might take like a month to finish,
Mhm.
which means like as I'm living my life and doing stuff in that month, different things will kind of like inspire me and potentially get added to the painting.
Nice.
Which is why I kind of wish there's a small part of me that wishes I had stayed with studio art when I
Mhm.
was in college studying art. Um, there is that like, there's something really unique about being able to sit down with a painting for like 2 to 3 months.
Mm.
Uh, and I kind of miss that like being
And
able to
just keep
just
making it
take it
better
slow,
and
take your time with a piece. Yeah.
yeah, now I would imagine that like doing more of the stuff that you do and especially like doing more of the stuff that I do where sometimes my success is directly comparable to like the sheer capacity like amount of work that I'm putting out
Mm.
sometimes, which is kind of a stressful way to live. It's kind of a kind of a stressful way to be. Um, I imagine that like being able to like sit and take your time can be can can you miss that. Uh,
Yeah.
so um, you should charge two prices. Charge more if they're going to be over your shoulder and give them a discount if they let you have artistic freedom. So I'll tell you what I actually do in the last few minutes here is I charge a certain rate. I charge like when it comes to commissions, I only do certain kinds of commissions. I won't take like gigantic huge projects. I tell people, you tell me what you're looking for and I'll give you a quote if I'm willing to do that project. And I will give them a flat rate quote based on how many hours I anticipate I will be spending on that project. Um, I charge more if they want it done faster than I'm comfortable finishing with it, and that flat rate includes a certain amount of revisions. They get major revisions once I send them a sketch where anything can be changed. They get minor revisions, very small changes after I start rendering it. And then they can ask me to add any like teeny tiny details towards the end. And if they want me to change anything more than that, or if they want major changes like late in the painting, I charge them for those revisions, and in some cases, I charge them for a whole new painting. Because when you're doing, I've said this before, when you're doing a painting for somebody, and they don't tell you that they want the character in a different outfit until the painting is done, you can't just, it's not The Sims. You can't just change the outfit of the person in
Yeah.
the painting. You have to paint a whole new painting. And if you are very clear about, how things worked in the beginning and they still kind of disregarded that and want the changes, then they have to pay you for your time, or they get what they get. And that sounds a little bit harsh, but you have to take into consideration your own time and your own mental health when it comes to
Hmm.
doing your job. You're entitled to that. So that's what I got to say about that. We have about we have about 9 minutes left, so we could probably take a few more questions and then just,
Yeah, rapid round.
yeah, rapid fire questions, and then maybe in the meantime, you can kind of let everybody know again for anybody who's new that jumped in the meantime. Since you did your intro, like where people can find you and your work. Where's the best place to check out what you're doing, and where they can keep up with your projects after our design offs are over.
Yeah, so the place to find everything is probably my Twitter, and it's Anariel. And um, you can probably find my most current stuff on my Patreon. That's where I like get to talk one on one with my patrons, and I also have like a little mentorship group that I have there.
Nice.
I'm planning to add like resources there next year. Like my first set is going to be some tea stained paper textures that I'm going to
Ooh,
put up there because I've been really into tea lately.
nice, nice. So you're gonna do like textures and things that other people could use in their
For
art
their own
from
work, yeah.
scratch. That's cool. That's super cool. I would check them out. I would definitely take a look at that. Thank you very much. There is the links for the Annual Twitter. So definitely check that out. Sam says is agreeing. Solid communication, I think, prevents most issues. Absolutely, absolutely. Justin says respect for artists, indeed. Um, let's see. Do you use Project Huddle or another software to facilitate changes and approvals, i.e., similar to Fiverr? I have my own contracts and my own methods of like billing my clients. I don't like wait for people because I've been burned badly so many times. I don't wait for clients to send me money. I one of the first things I asked for is the information I need in order to send them an invoice that they can click a button and pay me as soon as they get the invoice. And I make it very very clear that I will not be beginning any work for anyone until I have, depending on the project, a minimum of 50% of the money up front.
Yeah. I'll also add just like really quick that something that I'm still working on is like affirmative language.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're talking to a client and they say, "Can you do this thing then?" and you're just like, "Yeah, I could maybe do it then."
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being like kind of wishy-washy or kind of like dubious language, be very like, "I'll have this turned in this date,"
Mm.
or "I'm going to send you these things in this format and then send my invoice." Like be very like, "I'm gonna do these things."
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I think too, some of it can sometimes be that when we're opposed with somebody who actually want to pay us for our work, it can be really hard to like be super confident telling them how much it costs.
Mhm.
I am gonna pull us over to our full screen thing and say goodbye though. I don't want to run over our time.
Yep.
But it has been absolutely super duper fun hanging out with you today, Jessica. It's been a blast. Your work looks great, and I can't wait to join you again tomorrow. We will both be back at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. For any of you who are used to the design offs being at 3 p.m., it is 30 minutes earlier this week. But thank you again, Jessica, for joining me. And thank you, everyone in the chat, for hanging out. It's been a
Yeah, thank you
blast.
so much.
No problem. We will see you guys tomorrow. Adios, everybody.